out to Socrates. Socrates still trying to get the opening. Oh, Socrates! Whoa!
And there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club.
Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, your boys took a hell of a beating. Your boys took a hell of a beating.
Welcome again to, what do we call this day? We had look at his face, just look at his face. Yeah. Chris Ledkowski wants us to shorten this down to look at his face, I think, but I like the full line. Look at his face.
Gotta be
look at his face. It's no half measures on the 1970s department at university. Your boys took a hell of a beating. We've got our arm patches. It's all very open university at 4:30 a.m. BBC Two for this. Feel like I should take a long drawn out breath. That type of continuity announcer type of thing of the era. Can we get Andy Knott to come up with the spinning globe and
that's what we want.
An abbreviation of the Your Boys Took Hell of a Beating below? I'll get onto him later today for that one. Yes, looking forward to this. Our FA Cup Odyssey continues throughout the 1970s, and we've reached 1972. This is it's a centenary final.
It is. All kinds of celebrations going on. I remember particularly, I think it was Esso that did a selection of medals in silver of all the club badges, all the teams that had won the Cup.
I have a copy of this handed to me in a box of stuff, like a few Subutio teams, the 1970 Esso coins and stuff by my sister's ex-boyfriend, the 1980s, and he's probably lamented it ever since. Handing this, losing this, because I know I've done it. I've handed stuff on to kids, thinking I'll never be interested in this again, and thinking, why did I give all that
stuff? What did I do with that?
Well, I've given away the family jewels, but I own someone else's family jewels in that respect. I've got the SO collection.
All the former captains and representatives of all the clubs were there carrying banners at Wembley. It was a proper occasion.
It really was proper pomp and ceremony, as an FA Cup final normally would have anyway, but with extra pomp and ceremony. Not the 100th final, obviously disruptions along the way of kind of like uppity, political, arguments that lapse into unfortunate battlefields, shall we say?
Yes, how little things change.
How little things change. Why? How could this possibly happen, Dave? It would never happen in this day and age, sure. But 1972. We're going to look at the back page headlines leading up to this. So, Cup final week was always such a big thing, Dave. And that was part and parcel of it. It was kind of like the bill. There's always that injury crisis that's going on. Will a player be fit enough for the final? Will he not? All of that kind of talk and conjecture. And there's no shortage of topics throughout the back pages in the week leading up to the 1972 FA Cup final. The week begins with the fallout of England's defeat to West Germany in the European Championship quarter-final first leg, Dave. It's Frank Taylor in the Daily Mirror has called for a new set of young lions to replace the heroes of 1966. Starting straight away with the trip to Berlin for the second leg. He's pulling no punches. He wants to see sweeping changes with immediate effect. He makes the case for the inclusion of Kevin Keegan, Alan Hudson and Mike Shannon, none of which will go to Berlin. He's
going to be sorely disappointed, isn't he, with what the big change is bringing in Peter Storey when you're 3-1 behind. We'll bring in Peter Storey. That'll help.
That'll fix matters. That will fix matters. The one concession to the future, there is the dropping of Jeff Hurst from the squad. Alan Mullery has turned round and said, I don't want to be considered for international football anymore. He's been recalled for the Wembley game, yet he's sat on the bench throughout, not got on the pitch, and he's turned round to Alf and said, Don't call me, I'll call you. Everyone's favourite, Malcolm McDonald, gets a call up though.
Doesn't play.
Big, huge league title tussles on the Monday night before Wembley. At the baseball ground, Derby County get what proves to be a pivotal 1-0 win over Bill Shankly's Liverpool. It's a contentious evening. Bill Shankly's raging after the match, saying that Liverpool should have had a couple of penalties when they didn't. There is altercations on the terraces, Dave, that spill up to the pitch during the second half. Meanwhile, at Ellen Road, Leeds United are beating Chelsea 2-0 Leeds now just need 1 point from their remaining fixture 7 days hence with away at Wolves. There are worrying groin strains for Johnny Giles and Allan Clarke with regards to Wembley. We have ticked the injury worry box here, as Arsenal have as well, because Charlie George has played on that night against Coventry City for Arsenal, and in that game, it's basically needing to prove his fitness for the final on Saturday with a pensive Ray Kennedy hoping things don't quite work out well for Charlie George, I'm sure.
It's a fascinating look back, isn't it? Here we are, 50 years on, the Monday before the cup final. They're playing big league games. Then on the Monday after, like 48 hours after the cup final, what is basically a league title decider is going to be played. Here we are nowadays. It's all on the big final Sunday, and everything's all organised to come down to one final game. I kind of miss all that ramshackle. I mean, it is fairer, that everybody plays their final game at the same time. You can't deny that because, as you say, Leeds go into the final game knowing what they've got to do. Much good it doesn't. But, they know what they've got to do. So it is fairer, everybody playing at the end. But that kind of haphazard thing where, ultimately Derby win the title by sitting on the beach in Mallorca. There's something glorious about that, isn't there?
There is. There absolutely is. It's very much of its time. It's shades of Molyneux comes into a title conundrum before the 1970s is finished yet again in 76, and again it's Liverpool this time knowing what they need to do to cruelly deny QPR the title in 1975-76. Sorry, Dr. David Turner, if you're listening on that one. Millwall are big in the news as well in this week leading up to the FA Cup final. They are at Brisbane Road, home of Orient. Orient are taking on Birmingham City, again with shades of, we know what we need to do to achieve our target. Birmingham City, if they are to lose at Orient, Millwall are being promoted to the First Division for the first time, and it doesn't quite go that way. There's a lot of Millwall fans at Brisbane Road that night, looking to see and to celebrate Millwall's promotion. Birmingham City win 1-0 thanks to a Bob Latchford goal. It's they who are going to be promoted. The Daily Mirror gets a phone call. It doesn't state exactly what time of day this phone call comes in to declare that there is a bomb in the main stand, underneath the main stand at Orient's ground. The Daily Mirror eventually think maybe we should ring someone at Brisbane Road. They do. Again, at Brisbane Road, the game is allowed to finish. Despite a bomb threat, the game is allowed to finish. Birmingham City win. Millwall fans in attendance are clearly unhappy at this, while Birmingham City's fans who are in attendance of this game are rejoicing. A recipe for harmonious end to the evening, Dave.
Came across a glorious story about this only 2 or 3 weeks ago from a friend who's a Birmingham supporter, and apparently at the end of the game the message went out: please evacuate the stadium.
Yeah, I've got it here in the article. Please, for God's sake, none of this depart in an orderly fashion. None of this. Literally, please, for God's sake, everybody clear the main stand. Minutes later, the bomb went off. Now this, I knew nothing about this until I read into this. This is magnificent. It is,
because Blues, as you said, won promotion, and the chairman at the time was a fellow called Wiseman. He got all the champagne crates in the dressing room. The players were all evacuated onto Brisbane Road with towels wrapped around them, still just fresh out of the shower. And he wouldn't go. Wiseman, he wouldn't go. The police said, "You must leave." No. Listen, I'm 80. Birmingham have just won promotion. I've got 2 crates of champagne here. If I have to go now, what does it matter?
Exactly. What a way to go out in an incendiary explosion at Brisbane Road on the back of winning promotion to the First Division. This needs some kind of that in itself. Just says a book needs writing about that. Absolutely. There were 50 arrests after the blast. I'm quoting from Taylor's article in the Mirror. After the blast, fans went on the rampage inside and outside the ground, fighting on the pitch. Ambulances were called to tend the injured. 50 arrested. Many Millwall fans at the game. Birmingham lost. Obviously, Millwall would have been promoted. And within this, the carnage continued at Mile End Station as people rolled away from the vicinity. train windows being shattered par for the course, I would have to say, at this point in time. Later in the week, Millwall are in action. They actually they have a game to play, and it's Harry Cripps testimonial. Harry Cripps as a name as a footballer. I mean, he could be a 1970s footballer. He could be an associate of the craze. He could be both.
If you'd seen him play, he was both.
He could be a character in an Eric Sykes sitcom. It's a name that would cover. He could be part of the trade union. He could be part of the Labour shadow cabinet at this point in time. Harry Cripps has a name that opens potentially a multitude of doors for him.
460 odd games, I think he played for Millwall. I think he's a third or fourth in the all-time appearances list. He was the one Millwall player that I think him and Derek Possey. I think they were the two Millwall players that everybody knew in the early 70s. And that was it. If you weren't a fan of the second division, they were the ones. It's a very Millwall name, isn't it, Harry Cripps?
Isn't it just? Isn't it just? That's a great name. And like I say, there's so many avenues a Harry Cripps could go down here. West Ham are the team invited along to this testimonial, which again speaks highly of an expected harmonious end to the evening.
That's optimism gone mad, hasn't it?
This is it's an amazing thing. 18 fans are injured at the Den when a crash barrier gives way. West Ham win 6-3. Fighting breaks out between rival supporters. Over to you, Dave.
That's exactly how you want a testimonial to end. A big punch up on the pitch.
Wouldn't you just? In
the name of God, I mean, Millwall, West Ham. What could possibly go wrong?
Just a majestic thing. That very week of Millwall is just it's beguiling, and yeah,
it's a 3-hour Danny Baker special, isn't it?
It's the full-on bingo card stereotype of everything that surrounds Millwall FC.
It is, I'm afraid,
but in a more a more cravat-wearing, fedora, spinning kind of way. There's a UEFA Cup final, first leg, Wolves versus Tottenham Hotspur, and Martin Chivers is the hero, Dave, with 2 goals for Tottenham on a night when Wolves don't play all that bad. I covered this in the UEFA Cup book I wrote. What did I call it, Dave? It was called something about the cool kids. Where the cool kids hang out. How bad is it that you can't think of the title of your own book, one of your own books? Yeah, do go out there and buy it. It's about the 2-legged era, the UEFA Cup era,
golden days,
and yeah, there's a bit of Wolves Tottenham in there. Yes, so one hell of a week building up to the cup final. I need to add into this as well, and I will do. You have you say on this, and then I'll turn to Arsenal Leeds pre-match chat.
Martin Chivers remains a hero, given that he beat Wolves in the UEFA Cup final. That is the first UEFA Cup final, isn't it? After the Fairs Cup.
Yeah.
An all-English affair. And I remember looking at the attendances for it, and Wolves actually had a bigger attendance for the Leeds game the following week than they did for the UEFA Cup final at Molineux, which is obviously huge numbers of Leeds fans would have come down. But you would have thought an all-England final, Wolves-Tottenham, would have been absolutely rammed to the rafters. You would have been able to get a ticket for it, but I think that was like 32,000, and then the following week for the Leeds game, it's 45,000 people in there. So that always struck me as a slightly bizarre. Plus, they obviously knew they were going to lose.
Yeah, either that or 20,000 people have come in and off the books, which is always a possibility. At this point in time, because on the footage it doesn't look as if there's a sparsity of space on the terraces. In the build up to the final itself, turning our attentions to our protagonist here, Bertie Mee has declared that no team talk is required. His players know all there is to know about Leeds, so why bother prepare properly?
Meanwhile, Don Revie's got a 200-page dossier on every individual Arsenal player.
Indeed, Don Revie has handed out dossiers to his players about the Arsenal collective form and each individual player, and strengths and weaknesses. 2 contrasting approaches by the managers.
Yes, you'd have to say that Don Revie's he's at the modern end of the argument there, rather than Bertie Mee, I think.
Yeah,
and as the game goes on, I think Don Revie proves to be correct.
He does indeed. For Leeds, there's those question marks over the involvement of Johnny Giles and Allan Clarke. There's also a question mark over the goalkeeper, Gary Scragg or David Harvey. Scragg is being deemed by contemporary in previews. They deem that Gary Scragg is the better of the two goalkeepers in terms of natural talent. But David Harvey is, he has the greater concentration. I think this is fair to say.
Yes, David Harvey's less likely to just chuck one in. I think it's basically what they're saying, particularly if they've watched the FA Cup final from 2 years previously when Gary Scragg made a string of magnificent saves and then let one through his own. Typical Scragg fashion.
It's a big one for the goalkeepers, really. Leeds have had that question mark over which goalkeeper. Arsenal without Bob Wilson. Jeff Barnett is in. A very nervous-looking Jeff Barnett.
A very nervous-looking Jeff Barnett, indeed. It's so strange. I think we've mentioned this before. When you look at the goalkeepers in these games, so many of them, they look absolutely nothing like what you think a goalkeeper looks like today. You look at these huge, I suppose, post-Schmeichel goalkeepers that we've had over the last 20, 30 years. And these fellas look tiny, don't they? They don't look like they can hold their own in the penalty area. They don't look like they can reach the crossbar or anything. It's very disconcerting to see it, But no, as the game goes on, Jeff Barnett, he's not going to have perhaps his finest hour.
No, not at all. The bookies odds, Coral have got Leeds the favourite at 13-8 on. You can get odds of 11-8 on Arsenal. At William Hill's, you can get odds as generous as 5-2 on Arsenal. The FA Cup holders, double winners the previous year. William Hill is clearly kind of like fancying Leeds here. It's 10-11 on, or 11-10 on. Which way around I'm meant to put that? They're offering a draw at 9-4 as well to try and coax that. I think they know that Leeds are going to win this.
5-2 in a 2-horse race.
It's very generous, isn't it? That is a bit generous. The road to Wembley. Leeds United, in the third round, they've overcome Bristol Rovers 4-1 at Ellen Road. The big test is the fourth round. They're up against Liverpool, and it's goalless at Anfield before they win the replay at Ellen Road 2-0. They go to Ninian Park and defeat Cardiff City 2-0. It is a quarter-final at home to Tottenham, so again, another test in the quarter-finals, 2-1 victory, before seeing off Millwall heartbreakers Birmingham City in the semi-finals 3-0 convincingly in Sheffield. For Arsenal, Swindon Town in the third round away from home at the county ground 2-0. It's a trip to Elm Park, Reading for the fourth round, 2-1 win. Derby County are the sticking point in the fifth round. It takes them 3 games to sort that one out. 2-2 draw at the baseball ground, goalless draw at Highbury, and then at Filbert Street for the second replay, a 1-0 for Arsenal sends them through. Orient, no explosives on this occasion. At Brisbane Road, Arsenal come away with a 2-1 win. So they're heavily tested. And then the semi-final, it's the 1-1 draw at Villa Park and the 2-1 win at Goodison Park. Arsenal have tread a very fine line to reach Wembley. It has to be said that Leeds have totally earned their passage to Wembley, overcoming both Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur en route. It
is old fart talk, isn't it? But the glory of the replays and keep playing replays and stuff. I mean, it just makes so much of the narrative, doesn't it? That whole slogging through and playing somebody 3 or 4 times to get there, and that just adds so much to the whole story of the year, doesn't it? If you've come through all of that, you really feel like you've earned going to Wembley and having your cup final. This business now where we have to have the result on the night, and yes, I understand all the stuff about fixture pile-ups, etc., etc. But, we played a lot of games in those days as well. Played 42 games in the first division, so there's 4 more to start with. It's only the sort of the ludicrous bloating of the Champions League and the Europa League and that's ruined everything in that sense. I just think it was such a great... It's a great tale, isn't it? If you've got to Wembley having played like 12 games to get there or something ridiculous, that just adds so much value to it, doesn't it?
It does. It's that test of endurance as well. It's all part and parcel of it. It's much more interesting than saying, well, it is a team that's been well rested and rotated and all of that type of thing. And also, it's the investment in the players involved as well. That you get to, like I say, I can name a side from years ago because everyone knew every player, every team's left back in the first division. You knew who it was. He was going to be trotting out and wearing the number 3 shirt, and who was wearing the number 7 shirt. And you're so diluted. Contemporary football, so diluted. But this is an era when it's very, very different, Dave.
I just think if you've come through your however many rounds it is and you look down, and okay, you've just played your 5 games to get to Wembley, whatever it is, and then in the 4th round you've won 4-2 on penalties, and then in the semi-final you've won 7-5, 7-6 rather on penalties. That to me, it's always like having an asterisk against the fact that you won the cup that year. But you won the cup, but you didn't really, because you've won 2 of the games on penalties. It just doesn't count. It's no, none of it. Stop it now.
We'll have to team you up with Paul McParl and Gary Knacker for an upcoming grumpy old men type of department. Your boys took a hell of a beating.
I think
which
so.
we're very much looking forward to opening. BBC or ITV, Dave? BBC are on air first at 10:45. They're fast out the blocks, while ITV is still showing Sesame Street. Yeah, Sesame Street on ITV until 11:15 when the ITV's coverage kicks in. Cup final grandstand, Arsenal versus Leeds United from 10:45. It's Wembley scene. At 11:40, 100 years of the FA Cup. At 12 o'clock, cup final of the players. So a rundown of the players involved. 12:35, cup final managers. There's goals of the season at 12:45. It's 12:55. It's a cup final knockout, Dave. We've got Inside Wembley at 1:40. The marching display at 2:20. The Centenary Cup final parade at 2:30. Abide with me with Tommy Steele at 2:40. And then the presentation of the teams. I mean, the grandstand are going full on FA Cup. There's no interruptions with any other sport at all. They have gone full on.
Magnificent.
ITV are giving us 11:15 FA Cup final. It's the goals that count at 11:20. 11:30, my dad's at Wembley. I've spoken to the daughter of Tommy Lawrence, and she's her and her brother. There's footage of them from the 1971 final, the same type of thing. It's the families who've gone down for the final. There's chats with the family and stuff like that. And yeah, she's got this very vivid recollection of being involved in that in 71. Amazing stuff. Yeah. The panel have their say at 11:40. At 11:50, Wembley star spot. No explanation given. They break away. It's all too much for ITV to continue at this pace at Wembley. They throw on some wrestling between 12 and 12:55. Then it's the news. They're doing the Australian pool service at 1 o'clock. A bit of international athletics at 1:05, at 1:20, at 1:40. There is Wembley star spot again, which at 1:25. Cup final comedians at 1:50. We've got the final comment at 2 o'clock. Goals of the century at 2:10. The Wembley picture, followed by then they tie in with the BBC with the Football Association pageant and the presentation of the teams. They seem to be skipping Tommy Steele, though.
Well, you can't necessarily blame them for that, can you? I'm sure they'll have had a bit of a bite with me, though. I mean, compulsory. But ITV, that's a poor effort. I mean,
It's a poor
party, athletics, wrestling.
Yeah, starting half an hour later than the BBC and throwing in some random stuff. No. They're obviously shipping, hemorrhaging viewers at an alarming rate, certainly from 12 o'clock onwards. But yeah, I mean, we've got all of the, what's within that. Yeah, you possibly switch over to ITV later on, because after the presentation of the Cup by the Queen and Meet the Winners, BBC kind of hastily shift themselves to Kempton for a bit of racing.
Oh dear.
But they also show Fight of the Week, Muhammad Ali versus George Chuvalo. So there is a BBC tend to stack the kind of like odds and sods after the event, whereas ITV are giving you a bit of the team talks and the results. Although they're off air at 5:10 for Sale of the Century, Dave.
Good grief. Nicholas Parsons, it's the quiz of the week.
It's the quiz of the week, whereas over on the BBC you can go straight into the Pink Panther.
Well,
the cartoon version.
You have to stick with that. BBC all the way, I'm afraid.
It is BBC all the way, isn't it? It is BBC. And I can assure you that there was some Open University on BBC Two from 9:05 that day, Dave.
No VHS in those days to record it. Because it was more difficult to switch it. In those days, you actually had to get up from your chair, go to the television set and press a button if you wanted to change the channel. Nobody can be bothered.
No, nobody can be bothered. If you were the youngest in the house, which I was, that was my job, as it was to feed the goldfish. The teams, Dave, Leeds United David Harvey, Paul Reaney, Paul Madeley, Billy Bremner as captain, Jack Charlton, Norman Hunter, Peter Lorimer, Allan Clarke, Mick Jones, Johnny Jars, Eddie Gray with Mick Bates on the bench. Joe Jordan is amongst the unlucky ones to miss out on the 12 for Arsenal. Jeff Barnett, Pat Rice, Bob McNabb, Peter Storey, Frank McClintock as captain, Peter Simpson, George Armstrong, Alan Ball, Charlie George, John Radford, George Graham and Ray Kennedy. Prior to the match, Alan Ball's had a bit of a strop in the morning papers. He doesn't understand why Leeds United are being cast as favourites for the final. The no Real Madrid. You know, they might play a bit of attractive football here and there, but his message is, show us your medals, lads. If Don Revie needs any kind of, like, you know, with his dossiers and his meticulous preparation, he could always pin that article up on the door as they're on the way out. I'm sure Jack Charlton would have been an interested reader of such an article.
You think somebody as experienced by that stage as Alan Ball would have had the good sense to keep his trap shut. But Alan Ball never did really, did he, to be fair? I mean, that was kind of the Alan Ball trademark. But yeah, that's a hostage to fortune, that, as we shall see in the game.
Stirring the pot was not the cleverest of things. Our referee for this one is it's Mr. David Smith of Gloucester, and he's armed with a specially minted coin, Dave. It's got Leeds on one side. I mean, our commentators, it's Brian Moore for ITV, it's David Coleman. A surprise, amazingly, his first FA Cup final commentary for David Coleman. Yeah, there's Leeds on one side, Arsenal on the other. We don't get much of an explanation. Is this, you know, the badges that are embossed? Does it literally just say Leeds and Arsenal? But regardless, it's a specially minted coin, Dave.
Yes, it's a specially minted coin, which Mr. Smith of Gloucester carefully trousers as soon as he's done there. I wonder where that is now. It's locked in the family vault somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there in some kind of safety deposit box. The build-up's been magnificent. Donald Saunders in the Daily Telegraph as his pre-match tea leaf reading. We've mentioned Donald Saunders before. He was the man that gave us our 1979-80 preview on the morning of the start of the season, and his clairvoyance was very, very impressive. It has to be said. He's done it again 7 years earlier. His pre-match tea leaf reading. Indeed, this looks like being a tense, close, low-scoring final. Despite their tendency to fall between two stools, I think Leeds will win this time.
And that's the end of today's podcast.
Did anyone need to watch, Dave? I mean, it's a final, cup final. It's a knockout as long as Stuart Hall's not involved. That's not allowed these days by absolutely correctly. But we didn't know about that at that time. I certainly didn't. I was 2 years away from being born. Donald Saunders on the nose.
Absolutely on the money there. He must have made a fortune in the bookies over the years, Donald Saunders. If this is his general standard, he's dead right. But we mustn't get us ahead of ourselves. We've got a game to watch. We do
have a game to watch, but we will keep Donald's pre-match prediction in mind. On ITV's coverage, the match in full is you can only get the ITV coverage, but you can get about 25 minutes or so with the BBC coverage in highlight form. And it's always interesting to listen to both sides of that preamble as the teams are given and those little snapshots of information that the two commentators give. Brian Moore mentions Malcolm Allison in his, as being part of the ITV panel. Malcolm Allison has declared that the Leeds players look tense, Dave. They didn't look too tense to me.
Malcolm Allison on the money as ever.
He's no Donald Saunders, that's for certain.
No, devotees of the 1979-80 series that we're doing will have come across Malcolm Allison many, many times already so far. And to be fair, every time that we look back into the history books, another chip falls off the reputation of Malcolm Allison.
He is so often on the wrong side of history and the wrong side of sporting hypnotists.
Absolutely.
It's truly amazing how often he got it wrong. Over on the BBC, I'm pretty sure it's David Coleman's view that it's an unusually relaxed Don Revie. So on one side you've got kind of Leeds looking tense, and on the BBC you've got and what's interesting as well as part of this coverage is that Jimmy Hill's on the microphone with ITV. This is shortly before being snapped up by the BBC to do Match of the Day, and Brian Clough is the co-commentator on the BBC's coverage. There will be a swapping around of this. Which brings a bit of a surreal edge to this. Hearing Jimmy Hill's part on ITV's coverage and Brian Clough He'd be so long part of the ITV coverage doing the BBC's day.
It is very disconcerting to watch the whole thing with Brian Moore's commentary.
It's not right, is it?
No, nothing against Brian Moore's commentary, but it was always the BBC that you watched because it was, as you say, the build-up was better. There was no adverts at half time. You just stuck with the BBC. It's very strange to hear this other commentary all these years later.
Yeah, very, very, very unsettling. I would say it to be. Prince Philip is the man that's doing the handshakes and the meet the team part. The Queen is up in the royal box. She's not forgetting the gloves dirty by touching the uncouth plebs down on the pitch. I did notice the big plush roller is parked beneath the royal box. They didn't have any problem parking around Wembley. It's never been my experience, Dave.
No, mine either. Obviously, they didn't come on the tube. Nope. HMQ. She didn't get the Victoria line or whatever it is that takes you to Wembley.
They've not parked up at Stanmore and taken those 2 or 3 train stops across, or parked up by that church just past the Green Man.
Very fancy.
Very, very fancy. I hope there was a young kid asking for, mind your car, mister. I do hope so.
Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew, yeah. Wouldn't put it past him at all. Always up to no good, that fella. The game is off to. You might want to edit that bit out, Dave. You might want to keep it in. I'm fine. I'm fine either way. I'm comfortable with the situation. The game is off to a roaring start, Dave. We spoke about the 71 final, Peter Storey's relentless attempts to turn it into 1970 that eventually quelled somewhat as the game settles into a football match. The first half of the 1972 final does a reasonably good impression of the 1970 rancor. We've got a booking within seconds of Bob McNabb. He's one of 4 that go into the book. There's no punches being pulled within the first half of this game.
Well, 7 seconds in, Allan Clarke has body-checked Alan Ball, so he's obviously read the papers that morning. And then 30 seconds later, Bob McNabb slices Peter Lorimer in half and gets himself booked. Eddie Gray gets fouled a couple of minutes later, and on the way down he gets a forearm smash from Peter Storey. So, it's all looking very promising for a proper 1970s shindig at this stage of the game.
You do wonder if any of these have been involved in the Millwall fracas of the week. Because this is very much kind of Coldblow Lane and Brisbane Road and all of that. It's continued beneath the glare of millions of spectators on television. Alan Ball's in his white boots, Dave.
Well, what can you say? What can you say about
what has the game come to?
I know it's an horrendous beginning. Asa Hartford at the Albion saw that and did his own boots in white with that sort of dubbing stuff that they use on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it rained, and by half time he got the boots again.
Groundbreaking, multicoloured chameleon boots there from Asa Hartford.
Yes,
the game eventually kind of pans out into football reluctantly. McClintock adds a pop from distance. He's teed up from a free kick. There's a careless corner conceded by Jack Charlton, and David Harvey with a semi-uncomfortable gather. There's nerves in there. There's speculative pops, but really does have to clean one off the line. There's a great, in his white boots, fair enough to the fella. Alan Ball catches this corner beautifully on the volley as it drops to him. It's got Harvey beaten all ends up, but there's Paul Reaney handily placed on the post, which is not a thing in the contemporary game by and large, Dave. But it stops Arsenal going 1-0 up and potentially turn it into a very different football match.
I mean, as you say, Alan Ball, he absolutely creams it on the volley from the edge of the box, from George Armstrong's corner, and Paul Reaney, it's a brilliant clearance. Sort of stretching to his right to clear it at the foot of the post. And as you say, that goes in. Who knows what kind of a game you get from there. Because I think up to that point, Leeds have been slightly the sharper team. And I think Arsenal, they've lost something in the balance that they had the year before. We watched the Liverpool Cup final in 71. And they were just a better balanced team. And much as Alan Ball is he's still one of the best players in England at that point, they've lost something. I mean, Charlie George has gone up front now rather than being slightly deeper. John Radford hasn't got Kennedy alongside him, and Radford and George doesn't work as well as Radford and Kennedy worked. They just don't look as well put together as they did the previous year, Arsenal. There's something gone wrong in there somewhere.
Square holes, round pegs. You can't not buy Alan Ball if the chance becomes, in a rise. But there's very much a sense of what do you do with them? What do you do? I mean, it's noticeable that Radford has to drift out wide far more often than he did 12 months earlier. There is very much an awkwardness to the Arsenal. I mean, it is a bright start from Arsenal, but they are soon subjugated. This is kind of like the most one-sided 1-0 you're likely to see. Beyond this opportunity for ball that's cleared off the line by Revie, you can only say there's one opportunity where Arsenal come close to scoring, and that's where Charlie George hits the crossbar at 1-0 down, not long after Leeds are taking the lead in the second half. They are massively kind of, like I say, unbalanced, lacking in kind of like ideas, and considering the talent they've got on the pitch, that's such a strange landscape for that Arsenal side to be in.
I mean, they're still solid defensively. The back four is the same as before, and Peter Story in front of it. Whereas an attacking thing, they don't fit together. They're sort of working against one another almost. And Alan Ball, although he's all over the place, and you see him running around a lot, he doesn't actually do anything really. That shot aside, I mean, in terms of creative play in midfield or whatever, he's not really getting involved. He's not setting play up. He's not doing anything. And for one of the best players in the country, it's kind of it all just feels awkward. It feels forced, doesn't it? They've as you say, if you get the chance to buy Alan Ball, you buy Alan Ball. Obviously, what else are you going to do? But it just does not work in that Arsenal side at all. And again, coming back to that 79-80 series, he looks much more at home in that Southampton team. He
does.
Though he's 7 years older by that stage and coming towards the end. He looks much more comfortable in that than he ever does in the Arsenal team.
Yeah, I totally agree. Slight tangent, but a peculiarity in Alan Ball, World Cup winner in 1966. He then loses in the 1968 FA Cup final, and Everton shirt will lose in the 72 final, and Arsenal shirt will be on the losing side with Southampton in the 79 League Cup final. That's a peculiarity, isn't it? He wins the league title with Everton in 69-70 as part of that really fantastic side, the School of Science midfield and dominating league title success. But then as part of that Everton side that does not make the most of that success and that team that they had, that drifts, and then he's given the captaincy. There's a fallout with teammates because he becomes too domineering, and within that, it's strange how Alan Ball's. Is there a sense of unfulfillment within that Alan Ball career in some respects?
I think there is. I mean, hard to say that for a fellow who's won the World Cup,
isn't it? Just
big title,
but
there is. I mean, it never gets close to any international honours again with England. As we just talked about, the 72 European Championships was a disaster. The World Cup in 1970, obviously the quarterfinals. Beyond Everton, really nothing much of a career in terms of success for one of the best players in the country. A different kind of player in a different position. But Harry Kane is the same kind of thing, isn't he? For Tottenham, all those years not winning anything.
But it's like the Steven Gerrard of his era in that respect. It's kind of like there's so much more that should have come to Alan Ball.
Well, at least Steven Gerrard won European Cups and things, so But no, for one of the best players of his generation, and for somebody who played, about 16 years, 17 years at the top level, to have won one league title, and that was basically it. It's a pretty small return, isn't it?
It is a peculiarity. It is an absolute oddity. But you're right about him, looking much more comfortable in a Southampton shirt later in his career. We've watched quite a bit of that 79-80 season and continue to do so, and he always looks much more at ease with himself and his surroundings in playing in that Southampton side than he ever does in an Arsenal shirt. Leeds United have chances. As the first half wears on, there's one from Jones that's just wide of Barnett's left-hand post, laid on by Allan Clarke. There's the scything challenge by Story on Clarke, 20-25 yard. Now, it's an incredibly scruffy free kick routine that seems to go wrong, but then is redeemed. Lorimer lashes in a low shot that's almost fumbled into the back of the net by the aforementioned nervousness of Barnett.
I mean, Peter Lorimer, he's like a Jimmy Case or a Tony Brown or somebody like that. When he hits it, it stays hit, and from 35 yards out, it absolutely flies at goal. Let's be generous to Jeff Barnett. Let's say he sees it late, but he fumbles it completely.
He does fumble out for
the thigh, and he's dead lucky that it flies around the post. I mean, it's that could have gone anywhere.
That could have easily gone in. He also flaps at the resultant corner as well, But he then does seem to settle down a little bit, though. Yeah, as part of my notes, I've written down Leeds starting to, at times, literally stamp their authority.
Yes, they're not shy in the tackle, are they?
That is glorious, absolutely glorious. The closest we come to scoring up to this point, in comes Allan Clarke. He's got a header that hits the bar with Lorimer. Lorimer's forced McNabb into the error for the cross to come in, and Allan Clarke's unlucky not to open the scoring significantly sooner than he eventually does.
Yeah, it's a great header as well. I mean, it's at full stretch from this. I mean, Peter Lorimer's volleyed the ball full tilt across the face of the goal, and Clarke, way beyond the far post, he's at full stretch. He still manages to head it back across goal, above Barnett and off the bar. And as you say, that's the closest they've come in the first half. But there's all sorts of bits in that first half. I mean, Allan Clarke running into his own half, tracking back, and I mean, Paul Madeley. God, that first off, you just noticed what a magnificent player Paul Madeley was. He's only playing at left back because Terry Cooper's broken his leg. I mean,
yeah.
He might have been the substitute, or he might have been playing centre forward.
And even then, he's stepping into midfield from time to time as well. There's don't be looking at anyone listening. There's a rigidity to play here. There's fluid movement and interchange of positions going on.
I mean, that's another thing I'll come to in a sec after that. But Paul Madeley, I mean, you got to wonder, if he hadn't been so versatile, would he have been a better player? Would he have got the kudos that he deserves? Because he's a fantastic footballer, and perhaps he should have gone and joined Liverpool or Manchester United or somewhere, and been the centre midfield player or the centre half or whatever he chose to do, rather than being the 12th perennial 12th man who filled in all the way around the entire Leeds team. But he was just an amazing footballer. And I mean, there's one where there's a ball comes across there's a crossing from Arsenal, and he's on the edge of the area. And at a full stretch, he just kills the ball stone dead and starts an attack. It's amazing. But I think, as you said, the fluidity of both sides in this. And you look back to the previous 2 years, we covered Liverpool and Chelsea. This is modern football in a lot of ways. It's very, it's very recognisably what you do today, apart from the dicking around at the back for half an hour. But it is modern football. I was thinking, that's 54 years ago. If you go back 54 years from this cup final, it's 1918.
Yes.
The difference in football from 1918 to 1972 compared to 1972 to 2026, I mean, we haven't really changed that much, have we? In 50 years, actually.
No, the more I mean, obviously there's part of it that would look out of place in the game now, but not. There are elements that are kind of like timeless. And absolutely timeless, and you can see kind of like recycled elements of that. I mentioned it before that we've spoken to Vincent Kompany one time about his when he was the Anderlecht manager, and how he spoke that football kind of like recycles itself, and old tactics and ideas are always upcycled, and if people are willing to look at the past, they'll find something that's suitable and a fine piece of armoury for the future. And the present time. So, it is a case of reinventing the wheel.
That thing you just said about Leeds literally stamping their authority on the game, I mean, that's what you call the press now, isn't it? I mean, that's Leeds just swarming all over Arsenal and giving them no time to move. I mean, it's not that much different to, we got the press right today. It's the same sort of thing, really. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we reach half-time, and it's first half that's... I mean, we can never say this is a classic FA Cup final, but there is so many layers to it to make it massively interesting. As the players are going off, part of the ITV coverage, so the BBC's coverage, you've got Brian Clough having his views that Leeds have come on strong gradually. He says that they're doing enough, they've controlled midfield, and they've created the best chances. His views of the Arsenal front three, they're not being given a sniff, basically. Yet there has to be a worry for Arsenal, for Leeds, that they go in goalless, and that the Arsenal line up the side is far too good to be so deficient in attack in the second half. It's the one thing that Clough does get wrong in his synopsis of the first half.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds just continue to be the better team right the way through, don't they? As you say, it's a very one-sided 1-0. There's no doubt at the finish, which we will ultimately get to, that Leeds have been the better side in this game all the way through. And Arsenal, I mean, even when Arsenal make a change, as we'll come to in the second half, it just feels like the wrong change. They take John Radford off and leave Charlie George on and bring Ray Kennedy on. surely you go back to Radford and Kennedy at that point. Surely that would be the thing that you do. But it's just it's end of an era Arsenal, isn't it?
It is. I mean, they'll still come again the following season and being with a hint of the double for so long, which is so bizarre. But you're right in the by 73, 74, 75, they've regressed massively. But for this new plan that's with Alan Ball at the heart of it, and it's not working, surely the answer is go back to what you know and have been successful 12 months ago. And they don't do that. The last chat about the first half, it's worth illuminating that throughout that first half, those 4 bookings, McNabb, George, Hunter, among them, there's 32 free kicks, Dave. 32 free kicks given in 45 minutes of football. Bremner is the other one that gets a booking. He talks himself into his booking, surprisingly.
Very Bremner-like.
Very, but totally out of character, Dave.
Absolutely. That's the one thing that you don't quite get really in this cup final. You would think Billy Bremner up against Alan Ball, there's got to be every chance of some major collision at some stage. But
never quite happens. You're waiting for it to happen. It never quite happens. Into the second half, McNabb, he puts a header into the side netting when the ball across to unmarked teammates would have been the better option, Dave.
Absolutely. Sees the Wembley glory. Sees his name in lights there. He does into the side netting rather than putting it back across goal.
And this is the fork in the road, really, because it's within minutes, Leeds are 1-0 up. It's some fantastic work down the right that tees this up for Allan Clarke. It's a magnificent cross. McNabb has done all ends up yet again. He has a torturous afternoon for Arsenal, does Bob McNabb, who would have been part of the ITV panel. I mean, I'm sure his fellow panellists will have been giving him something of a slating after the match when they caught up with him, Dave. But yeah, this it's a fine goal that settles this final.
Madeley striding out onto Lorimer and then out to Mick Jones on the right, and he squares McNabb up, doesn't he?
Doesn't he just?
I mean, it's very simple. There's nothing fancy about it. He squares him up, knocks it past him, and McNabb tries to get a tackle in, doesn't get enough on it. I mean, it could possibly have been a penalty, if Mick Jones had just fell over, but he stumbles on and then pulls the cross back, and Allan Clarke. I mean, I've seen this a million times over the 50 years since. He's like a tree being felled, isn't he? I mean, he's
I've written on my notes diving header, but kind of like I'm looking at it, really it's more of a falling header than a diving header.
He's got both. I think Jimmy Hill says in the commentary he's got both feet on the ground as he heads it, but he's got both feet on the ground and yet he's perpendicular to the ground at the same time. It's a very strange. It's like a tree being knocked down, and poor old Jeff Barnett, he's got absolutely no chance.
Yeah, he's beaten all ends up.
It's a perfectly placed header.
Leeds United fans are singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," Dave. Amongst the YouTube comments, one or two do comments. That's really weird to hear. Kind of like it's not Liverpool.
I'm sure there's an outbreak of the Bladen races as well at some point.
Yes, I believe there is. There definitely is. It's a bit like those Top of the Pops albums of the era, Dave. And it's kind of like someone you've never heard of singing. It's some people singing things that you're not meant to hear them sing, and it's got heavy vibes of that, Dave.
It has, yes.
A glamorous model in one of these kind of bizarre, kind of like cupped baths, and lots of bubble bath going on when the Leeds fans are singing this.
That's where Malcolm Ellison got the Fiona Richmond idea from, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. Not available in the shop, so but released by Cato. Arsenal do have the best chance not long after that. This is the one flurry. I mentioned the Alan Ball effort earlier on that was cleared off the line by Paul Reedy, but Charlie George's one moment of magic, leaning back somewhat, but it's an amazing shot really to rattle it off and to come so close to scoring. He's within the width of the goalpost of putting Arsenal level. That lean, yet he manages to keep the ball down, is an amazing piece of technical skill.
It is. It's a brilliant effort from Charlie George, and I guess that's what keeps him on the pitch actually, because I made the substitution about 5 minutes later. I mean, to be fair to Charlie George, we've given him a bit of a slight in there, but he was injured in the
not fully fit, we'd have to say.
So I mean, maybe that's played a part, but I mean, it's Alan Ball who started. He has a shot at goal, deflects up to. Yeah. As you say, he's leaning back again. He's in the same sort of position as Allan Clarke, really, but he's only got one leg on the ground. And he manufactures this curling volley around the Leeds defender against the bar. It's a fantastic effort. And then Peter Simpson probably should score the rebound.
He balloons it, doesn't he? He balloons it. But yeah, that Charlie George shot, I mean, I think virtually anyone else on that pitch, Eddie Gray maybe aside, will put that 20, 30 yards over the bar and way over the dog track.
Yeah, it's a great effort. And David Harvey, with his Dave Hill from Slade haircut, there's no chance of stopping that. But no, Leeds have got away with it. And on the balance of play, although Leeds have hit the bar, they both hit the bar, and Leeds, Arsenal have had that one cleared off the line. On the balance of play, I mean, this is a 3-1 to Leeds, isn't it?
Yeah, it's highly dominant from Leeds. These two opportunities, they're not that Arsenal had the clearance off the line from ball, the bar being hit by George. It's not symptomatic of the Arsenal performance across the board throughout this day. It's very much Leeds in command. From here, it's kind of that seems to drain Arsenal, I think. To see that hit the crossbar and they're looking at that. That's we've come close, but the mountain to climb to get back into this game is massive, even at 1-0 down, because we're now into an area of the game where Eddie Gray's absolutely teasing Arsenal down the left-hand side. Yeah.
I mean, this is the Eddie Gray, the cup final 2 years ago by now. And Arsenal are tiring a bit. They make the change, they bring Ray Kennedy on for John Radford. Makes absolutely no difference at all. It's still Leeds who are in charge. I mean, Eddie Gray has one. He goes through a little past 2 or 3 challenges, and Barnett makes a decent save.
He does.
To make himself feel a bit better, I suppose, from the afternoon. And then there's even Norman Hunter. I mean, he ploughs through 4 challenges going forward like a JCB. I mean, there's no stopping Norman Hunter as he piles on. But again, as in modern football, they just don't give Arsenal a minute. There's no time for Arsenal on the ball. They don't have any chance to build anything up. It's just totally dominant, isn't it?
It's relentless, utterly relentless. Yeah, as you say, Barnett gets that save. It's probably the best save of the match. So yeah, the plucky goalkeeping underdog, formerly of Everton, but had not been able to work his way past the likes of Gordon West and Rankin, and moved on to other pastures, only to be back up to Bob Wilson at Arsenal for so long. Wilson had picked up that injury in the semi-final, was it?
Yes,
that he picked his injury, which brought Barnett into play. Arsenal just properly pinned back at this point in time, and it's just this blitzkrieg by Leeds to try and find this second goal that never comes. And it's a fascinating stage of the match because Leeds just continue to plough forward and forward and forward, expounding just bucket loads of energy in trying to find this second goal.
It's completely against the Leeds stereotype, isn't it? Because I mean, the stereotype of Leeds at that period is 1-0 up, shut up the shop, win the game, and there's no sense of that. And also, it's particularly peculiar because, as you say, on the Monday night they've got to get the Wolves to win the league. Yeah, they are going, 19 to the dozen, really.
Helpful ever to find this second goal when, if they'd have eased off, and preserved some energy for the Monday night. I mean, obviously it's an FA Cup final. The club's never won the FA Cup at this point in time. I get why they're doing it. Yet, textbook Leeds, shutting up shop, controlling the ball, keeping possession, and just grinding Arsenal down to the 1-0. They maybe go to Molineux on the Monday night and get the point that they need. Because as part of this push for this second goal, and Arsenal are really desperate at the end, both trying to simultaneously hang on and to stop Leeds scoring this second, but to try and find their way into an equaliser. And in a way, even if Arsenal had got that equaliser, an extra 30 minutes against a Leeds in this mood, could have ended up this final being 3-4-1, feasibly. But the damage that's inflicted on Leeds at the very end, that jinking run from Jones just before the final whistle. Barnett again, makes the stop this time with his feet, and Jones falls awkwardly. The injury that we're real about on Monday night, Dave.
I mean, it's funny, he gets past, it's a similar run to the goal, really, isn't it, in a lot of ways. He gets past McClintock this time, and he just literally runs out of steam as Jeff Barnett comes out, and he kind of apologetically falls over the goalkeeper, really, and he puts his left arm out to protect him as he drops. Jimmy Hill then gives us the benefit of his wisdom on shoulder dislocation and broken arms as to which one he's got. But anyway, he's down there writhing in agony as the final whistle goes, and Leeds are busy celebrating. And then Les Cocker comes on to to help the Allan Jones. It's magnificent. Basically, the sum total of his medical knowledge is to rip up 2 or 3 bandages and knot them across his chest to put his arm in place, which probably isn't the method of treatment you get nowadays.
No. He also throws out some impressive expletives to the converging television cameras. But within that, there's no hint of kind of like Brian Moore, apologising for any language you sensitive people out there might have happened to hear. None of that at all. Peter Lorimer hit the post as well, as part of that, late surge by Leeds to try and, put the top hat on this result. But the loss of Jones at the end is massively, massively damaging for them in the bigger picture. There's more renditions of "You'll Never Walk Alone" as the final whistle draws ever nearer. But yeah, Jimmy Hill and his Dr. Hill and his diagnosis, that's no dislocated shoulder. I've had a dislocated shoulder. I know that you hold your arm in a completely different way if you, and then kind of backtracks a bit later on. Yeah, could be a dislocation after all.
Leeds have gone up and got the cup and come down and all of that, and then eventually Mick Jones gets to his feet, and Norman Hunter's summoned to come and tenderly carry him up the stairs. So Mick Jones goes up to the 39 steps to meet the Queen and collect his medal, only to find that Mick Bates has already buggered off with his medal earlier on. So all he can do is shake hands with the Queen and nip off down the stairs again, which must have been a disappointment for us.
Where he collapses to the floor. And a stretcher is brought, but manfully as the lap of honour is going on, Dave. The Leeds players go in the opposite direction. There's a forlorn yet jubilant Mick Jones on a stretcher. He manages to get his uninjured arm out of the blanket that's wrapped around him tightly to wave to the crowd. Now this is what we want to see, Dave. It's one arm's hanging off. I'm saluting the crowd with the other arm. And he virtually meets his teammates at the tunnel end.
He does. Brian Moore is absolutely thrilled, isn't he, that Mick Jones is waving to everybody.
Yeah, Brian Moore's perpetually confused as well towards as part of all this. As Jones is on the floor, he mistakes it. He turns around at one point and suggests that it's David Harvey on the ground, even though it's at the other end of the pitch from where David Harvey is situated. David Harvey's on the ground. He's collapsed to the ground, David Harvey. And he's got, it must be Jeff Barnett. No, there's Jeff Barnett. It's Mick Jones. It's Mick Jones. Clearly someone in his ear, telling him, pull yourself together, Brian. And this is why we're watching the BBC, isn't it?
Of course it is. I can't see David Coleman doing that. No chance. No,
not at all. Not at all. Yeah, truly magnificent watch, even though, like I say, not a classic final by any means of the imagination, but so much going on. And especially when you add the week building up to it as well and what is still to come. It leaves a peculiar situation for Arsenal as well at the end of this. They've lost their grip on the FA Cup. They're about to lose the grip on the league title. Had Arsenal won that day, they'd have been in a bizarre situation of being still retaining league champions until the Monday at least, and back-to-back FA Cup winners. It would have been a bizarre situation to be in, yet as well, because their league form in 71-72 hasn't been all that great, they now need Leeds to clinch the league title on Monday night to give them a shot at the Cup Winners' Cup in the following season. So Arsenal fans now need the team that have broken their heart at Wembley on the Saturday to do them a favour on the Monday night. This is like a weird paradox for Arsenal and their supporters to find themselves in.
This was the perpetual glory of 1970s football, wasn't it? Those last 3 or 4 games, your team had done something, and then you were desperately waiting for the other team to. I remember in '78 when Liverpool played Bruges in the European Cup final. Liverpool won. Albion would go into Europe the following year. And there were always those sort of weird permutations at the end of the season. It was glory. And again, that. I know it's probably better now, the way it's organised and everybody plays at that time, as we said at the start. But those little quirks were really...
They were great.
Weren't they?
That sense of jeopardy and which just kind of like added on and on. Because when you get to kind of like the final day, just what exactly is rested on the final day? Sometimes nothing at all.
Yeah, exactly.
This way it just adds such a charm to it. Leeds players can't really celebrate. They can't go back to Leeds and do the open top bus parade. They've got to head to Wolverhampton. That's what they do. They don't. There's no after cup final banquet. They head off to a hotel in the Wolverhampton area, Dave, and have a light meal before heading to bed. A relaxing day on the Sunday before being denied the title on Monday night.
Typical Leeds, isn't it, from that era? So okay, they've finally won the FA Cup, which was the big thing in those days. After all those years, Shankly said in '65, didn't it? It's taken a blot off off Liverpool's copybook winning the FA Cup. Leeds have done the same thing, and then they can't enjoy it because they've got another game, and then they lose that game. So all the glory from the Saturday is ebbed away by the fact that they didn't win the double. It's such a shame for that Leeds team at that period, because they were always so close and never quite doing it, weren't they? It was just a thing for them so often, really.
It was. It really, really was. Yeah, a 2-1 defeat at Molineux. Obviously no Mick Jones involved, so they've had to shuffle the deck. In's come Mick Bates. They throw Terry Yorath onto the bench. Yorath doesn't seem to have been part of the FA Cup final squad at all, yet he is bumped up to be 12th man at Molineux, clearly meeting up with them after the final, which is a bit of an oddity. I mean, Allan Clarke unfit, he's the groin strain and all that. It's he lasts 66 minutes at Molineux and he is replaced by Yorath. Why not Joe Jordan? You've had Joe Jordan part of your FA Cup final squad. He's one of the unlucky ones to miss out on the 12. You'd think Jordan would be the obvious choice of 12th man.
You'd thought it would have been the automatic one to move up to number 12, but the golden days of only one substitute. Trying to cover all the bases, I suppose. Terry Yorath could play at the back and play in midfield. He had an injury, I suppose that's the thinking. But now you'd have thought Joe Jordan would be your obvious one, wouldn't you?
You would indeed. Arsenal have their own involvement in this Monday night issue. A goalless draw at home to Liverpool denies Liverpool the chance to sneak the title from the grasp of Derby County and Leeds. John Toshak has a goal disallowed in the 88th minute for offside. Shankly, and a lot of Liverpool players have turned around over the years and said there was never offside, whereas I was looking through some of the match reports, and one or two of the reporters are kind of, it was 2-3 yards offside. That's absolutely valid. Obviously no footage because Alan Hardacre was a bit of a crack, Dave.
That is again another one of those incomprehensible things, isn't it? That you had your match of the day and Star Soccer and big match, whatever. If a game was played on a Saturday, it was all right. You could not possibly have any league coverage of anything other than on a Saturday. Just bizarre.
The bizarrest thing. One of the most dramatic nights of football ever, and Alan Hardacre says no dice. That week's top 40, Dave, I sent you a couple of links. We have the top 40 for the following day of the FA Cup final. We also have a link to the biggest 20 movies of 1972 to peruse. Let's go for the top 40 first. When I sent you this, you declared it to be the best top 40 that you've yet been sent in the Boys Took a Hell of Beating history. Without
a shadow of it. I mean, there's glorious stuff there. There's the Mighty Lindisfarne with Lady Eleanor. That's got to be recorded. Not that you would have had a cassette player, probably.
Well, this is it. It might be a case of us having to go down to the local record shop and buying these rather than trying to record them with.
You get them in Woolworths for 29p in the bargain.
Yeah.
You got Tumbling Dice by the Stones when the Stones were still the Stones.
I've put a tick next to that one as well.
Neil Young, Heart of Gold.
Yeah, I've put a kind of tick / question mark over that because I've always been I like it when I hear it, but it's never a go-to song for me. It's never a thing I must listen to that. Yeah. But when I hear it on the radio or if it tips up on a TV program or an advert, I think what a song that is. It's a peculiar one for me.
Metal Guru.
Yeah, number 9.
Julia, Down by the Schoolyard. Paul Simon.
Yep.
And A Whiter Shade of Pale's in the chart in 19.
Yeah, that's a peculiar one. Again, a song I love, but I've put a question mark next to it because it's a 1972 reissue. Where do we stand on? Where do we stand on reissues, Dave? Kind of like
it's very questionable. It's
a questionable thing, isn't it? So I've not put that amongst my.
At least they haven't remixed it with
exactly,
some disco beat or something.
Exactly. Rocket Man at number 7. I like a bit of Elton, 1970s Elton, but Rocket Man's not really one of those for me. If you give me Benny and the Jets, then yes.
I would always like Elton John more if Elton John wasn't singing it. He's got such a ridiculous voice.
He does a bit.
Great songs, but if somebody else was singing them, I think I'd like them a lot better.
Yeah. If this was Benny and the Jets, I'd probably go for this one. But yeah, Rocket Man. Yeah, it's all right. But Everything I Own, number 35, Bread. Again, I'm never quite sure whether I like that or not. But definitely yes is There is. We've also got Deborah and 1 Inch Rock. So T-Rex are in there twice. They're at number 12. Back Off Boogaloo, number 11. Ringo Starr. This is one of the most Ringo Starr-esque songs you could
can't
possibly
get any more
have.
Ringo than that, can you?
This is high Ringo, but it's very listenable.
The first Beatles to have a solo number 1. Who'd have thought it?
Who'd have thought it? And Ramsey Lewis at number 32 as well. I quite like that's a tune as well. The movies, Dave.
Yes.
That's a hell of a list for 1972.
What a collection that is.
What a list of movies. You can absolutely... It's like shooting fish in a barrel for this one, Dave.
It certainly is. I mean, you've got your James Bond with Diamonds Are Forever. The problem with James Bond is I can never remember which film's which. They're just James Bond.
Yeah.
The Godfather, Clute with Jane Fonda.
Clute is a magnificent movie.
Dirty Harry, Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange, yeah.
There's even the Steptoe and Son film.
There is a Steptoe and Son.
I actually think I saw in 1970. I got a vague memory because my dad didn't pass his driving test till 48, 49. We had a car in 1972. I think our first holiday we went to a caravan in the Lake District. Yeah. Of course, it rained. Yeah. And one afternoon we were somewhere and it was chucking down rain. And we ended up watching Steptoe and Son at the cinema. There we are.
Magnificent. Fiddle on the Roof at number 3. We've got the Ken Russell's The Devils at number 4, which is all about an undermined, sexually repressed nun, Dave.
Unusual for Ken Russell.
Yeah, witchcraft and 17th century France. Yeah, sound par for the course there. The French Connection, Nicholas and Alexander. There's some huge name. I don't know. Yeah, that's all about Tsar Nicholas II, the inept last monarch of Russia. Ryan's Daughter. There's huge films. Absolutely, as you mentioned, Dirty Harry. Mary, Queen of Scots, starring Vanessa Redgrave, Glenda Jackson, and Patrick McGowan. We've got A Clockwork Orange. What's Up, Doc? The accidental mix-up of 4 identical plaid overnight bags leads to a series of increasingly wild and wacky situations, starring Barbara Streisand, Ryan O'Neal, and Madeleine Kahn. I've never crossed paths with this film before.
See, the phrase starring Barbara Streisand is enough for me to immediately turn off.
Yeah, totally. Straw Dogs, number 13, Dustin Hoffman, Peter Vaughan, Susan George. Shaft, number 14, Dave.
It's been a golden seam of everything, entertainment-wise, in 1970.
Isn't it just? As you mentioned, Clute, number 15. The Go-Between at number 16, featuring Julie Christie, Alan Bates and Dominic Gard. A tale of torrid and forbidden love between a couple in the English countryside. It's some kind of Tory party biopic, Dave?
Yeah, straight after the conference in they go.
Yes. I can see this. Mutiny on the Buses, reassuringly at number 17, Dave. Loved a bit of the movie versions of On the Buses.
Yeah, the golden days when they suddenly decided they could turn all of the English sitcoms into films. Yes. Not always successful.
Not always successful. This is the one with the safari park and the bus and the lions on the bus and all that type of stuff. Totally ludicrous. Yeah, always a joy to watch. Sleeping Beauty, number 18. Please, Sir, number 19. Anything involving Derek Geiler is a win, surely, Dave.
Exactly.
John Alderton, Noel Howlett. And number 20, Up the Chastity Belt, featuring Frankie Howard, David Kernan and Nora Swinburne. Queen of England gives birth to twins, one kept in a pigsty and the other hidden. Lurk-a-Lot, raised by pigs, fights to protect his daughter and her royal line. I would give that one a miss, Dave.
Yes, I think so.
Damn aristocracy in the pigsties. Dave, the 1972 FA Cup final and everything surrounding it. Has it been all you thought it might be?
It's been a glorious trip down memory lane. Just after my 8th birthday, that one. All those years ago.
Magnificent. I am 2 years away from my birth, but clearly this is the world I am going to be born into very, very soon. Dave, thank you so much. It's been a joy. Obviously, next one, we move on to 1973. Leeds are back in the final against a second division opposition, Dave. It should be an absolute doddle for them.
It should be a walk in the park for Leeds to complete another, to retain the FA Cup. They've only just won.
Yes, they are sure to retain the FA Cup. What could possibly go wrong? All that leaves you to do is to say thank you for listening. Please do subscribe. We're on YouTube as well now. YouTube, if you subscribe to us on Substack, which you can do free, you get your podcast posted through your email letterbox, like Paperboy, that 1980s computer game. We'll be riding past on our bike and throwing our podcasts at your door forthwith. But beyond that, we're absolutely everywhere. We're Spotify, we're Apple, we're a load of places I've never even heard of.
Exactly.
Spread the word. Listen again. Join us next time. Thank you and goodbye. This has been Your Boys Took a Hell of a Beating with our 1970s subsection. Look at his face. Just look at his face. Sorry, Chris. It has to be. Goodbye.